Hello, everyone. Evening. I am Bill Sylvie. I am the Dungeon Delver, and I am responsible for this and all of my comments. How are you, everyone? It's good to see you, and it's good to be seen by you. Hello, Jorge, Mercury, Robert, Matthew, Robert, Mercury, and Robert. But anyway, I hope y'all are having a fun evening. So, normally we would have started, like we would be finishing now. Kyle and I would be done smarting off at each other. He had some stuff come up, nothing bad, I can assure you. But he'll be back next week, and I think we'll be jumping back into some conflict, but we'll see. Hey, GM Jocko, how are you? Death Angels, greetings. But you got to do the voice though, Jorge. But anyway, so yeah, today was a little bit bonkers, and I have a feeling the following days are going to be even a little bit more bonkers. If you don't watch the interstitial videos, or you haven't watched the interstitial videos, just to bring you up to speed, rumor got out today, and I will punch this up real quick because I know you guys don't want to talk about this. This is a live stream and we just want to hang out and BS. But let me do a thing here. So basically, Tencent, who I have said for ages might wind up owning D&D, have been sought out to sell D&D with contact from Hasbro. So you can see where that would create some crazy stuff. Wouldn't be January without new Hasbro WotC news. Exactly so. Hello, Clark Whitten. But yeah, this... It's funny because Monday, or maybe it was Tuesday, I don't remember. Yeah, that's the little person view there, Kyle. But anyway, so yeah, there was that news that came out about the Yigsburg stuff. Part of which I wrote, and our friends over at Troll Lord Games just announced, well, we're going to publish this now, without contacting myself or any of the other people who worked on it. And then this today. So it's been a pretty dynamic day, and I didn't want to jump in and just like, oh, let's just pretend like nothing's happened, and I'll do a deep dive of L1 and continue on. We're going to deep dive L1 tomorrow, and then Friday we're going to play some Gamble World for you guys. But it's been a busy day. And for those of you who are waiting for now the December and January modules, which are overdue, I had some layout issues. I promise those just as quick. I want them to look good, guys. I want them to look good. The last couple, I literally just sent out documents, or the last one, I just sent out a document. So January and December are coming soon, and February will be here before the end of the month. Death Angel said, they asked if I knew anyone to have them reach out to at the Dungeon Delver. That's a little scrambled, Death Angels. So are you saying they asked the audience if you guys knew me to reach out to me on their behalf? Is that what you're asking? I'm just confused. That's all. I'm just confused. Let me tell you something. A very wise young lady on YouTube, Discourse Miniatures, and she has a tabletop. Channel to. Well, her channels are tabletop oriented, but she has a D&D RPG channel too. She made a video a couple of months ago, but She did a video about the state of Games Workshop because her primary focus is Warhammer. And I can't remember if there was a stock dip or if the stock got good and people were saying, oh, you know, the stock's doing bad. That's bad news for the hot. And she made a very solid argument, and I wish I had her video, that the time to be concerned was not when a company's doing bad, because nobody wants them when they're doing bad. When the company is doing really good, that's when you should worry. Well, this report mentions that while Hasbro is doing bad, D&D is doing great. Now, can you guys think of a better time to sell something when it's in great shape? Because I can't. And essentially what I'm saying is she was right. She was right. You should check out her channel anyway. She's kind of fun. I know some people have looked at her and said they don't care for her stuff. I think she is a very smart and mostly funny young lady. I don't agree with everything she says. She did a video about how Gary would hate how anyone played D&D, and it's bullshit. That video is bullshit because I knew Gary and I know completely different from what she says. I think she was probably trying to cast him as a nasty old guy who wouldn't approve of anything except the way he does it, but that's simply not true. But that doesn't mean that in the overall I don't like her stuff. Well, that's just it. Viking Hat, you kill the golden goose and you get all the eggs all at once. You get all the golden eggs at once. Excuse me, you unalive it. So, yeah, I wanted to get that video out there with a quickness. Now, some folks have told me crab rangoon is delicious, but that's not what other folks have told me. I know that's good. Some folks have told me that I'm completely off base, that this is just the video game IP that's going to Tencent. If so, why didn't they just contact Larian Studios? Why was this not a conversation between Larian, Hasbro, and Tencent? Why did Hasbro go straight to Tencent and say, hey, you guys want the D&D IP? Nothing in that article said exclusively video games. So there we go. And I guess some folks didn't like that I released it because I did lose a few subs. I gained a bunch, but I was just like, I legitimately, I was sorry that folks were upset by the video and they unsubscribed. I hope they come back. I hope they come back. It may be. Oh, I was going to do, let's see. Jorge, I'm not trying to one-up you. I just want to see if I can do this good, because I will sit in your judgment. I will sit in your judgment. Ads? You think you know about ads, YouTube? You merely adopted the ads. I was born into them, molded by them. I didn't get to see cartoons until after the ads. By then, I was already a man. So tell me how I did there, Jorge. I await your judgment. Audio issues for Gumby. Okay. Yeah, and that's what I was saying, Death Angels. It's like the Venn diagram overlap. Well, it's just the video games. It's just the video. No, I think the overlap is almost two completely merged circles. Merged circles is a great name for like a mid-20-teens prog pop band like Mars Volta or MGMT, merged circles. Or maybe I'm just alone in that. But anyhow, so yeah, I'm just kind of skating tonight, and this is just kind of an open discussion, sort of BS. We can talk about whatever. Tomorrow night, deep dive into L1. That's a thing that's going to be happening, and I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to getting into that. But I will tell you this, for all the new folks, and there are some new folks, it wasn't a net negative day, quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. We are now at, drum roll please, 5,405 subscribers, 5,405. So for you, about 10 of us, yes, that's right, who've subscribed to the channel since earlier today, welcome. I'm very glad you're here. 5 nights a week, we live stream about tabletop RPG stuff. Michael Mertig, greetings. Jack, we are on the way, Jack. It's good to see you. Where have you been? Where have you been? Thank you, Jorge. Jack Photon has chosen to join us. You merely sat in the chat. I was born into it, molded by it. I didn't see my first super chat until I was a man. But anyway, oh, Mercury, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, but I've missed you around here, Jack. I got to get you the. I'm gonna try and tomorrow, if I'm not doing a ton of things, to get you the scans for the deck of many things. Now, question for you, Jack: are you going to do like a limited run of physical copies of the Daunt? Let me know. Let me know how that's going to work. Because I bet other people would be interested too. Plus, I have other things I want to discuss with you. Yay, local! You got the hamster to up for a jog. Yeah, look, Jack, I told you about screwing around with the Tholians, man. You can't mess with the Tholians. Michael Mertig talking about 007. That little humming that I did there, if I was still on YouTube, probably would have gotten me a copyright knock. That is so sweet, Mercury. Merge circles with their hit tune. Our Venn diagrams are overlapping. But anyhow, I'm not going to respond to that. But anyway, Brother Jorge, you must remain here. A body must be found in the wreckage. Speaking of Tholians, you realize your Star Trek balance of power character creation. Gorn, Zin, Thor, Score, Tholians, Klingons, and Trader Orions and Trader Captains. Now, would a Trader Captain be like the guy that sold tribbles, or would he be more like Harcourt Fenton Mudd? I got to tell you something, guys. I got to be honest. Miss Bella Games, hello. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. People, you see, let me tell you something. The 90s with Babylon 5 were the beginning of the great continuity-based sci-fi shows here in the States. And after B5 became such an underground phenom, everybody was doing it. Everybody stole that, we got to have continuity. DS9 was just TNG, but sitting in one place and spinning until Babylon 5 came along, and DS9 literally stole every story beat that JMS created with Babylon 5. Probably, Robert. But the original Star Trek did have a few episodes that had some internal continuity. Jack will know these. You had Ensign Kevin Riley, He showed up on a few episodes. You had Kirk mentioned when they were fighting the Andromedans, and Kirk wanted Spock to mind meld. He mentioned the episode A Taste of Armageddon about Spock's ability to mind meld through a wall. Hello, Jimmy Invictus. I have missed you too, brother. Welcome back. Cyrano Jones, thank you, Jack Photon. But of course, you had Harcourt, Fenton, Mudd. Look, we old school Trek folks will harp on about how Kirk was a more manly guy. You know, it's how everything was better on the original. And point by point, there are people with everything up to what is that cartoon abomination that's going on right now? Oh, that's also right, Jack. But you can say what you want about any new Trek. And by the way, I do consider the animated series the 4th season of the original series. I don't consider it outside of that. But here's the thing. There is no better episodes. There are episodes that are as good, probably, I don't know, in the larger Star Trek canon than Mudd and Mudd's Women. Now, Harry was a little bit more sinister in Mudd's Women, but my dudes, Mudd is... if you said, look, you can watch Mudd 5 times or 5 episodes of your choosing from Voyager or TNG or DS9 or Enterprise or Brave New Worlds or Below Decks or whatever, and I will take Mudd 5 times. Man, Mudd is just phenomenal. Harry Mudd is just he is great. That, and when they break the computers with their illogical behavior, that spirit of Enterprise. God, you could tell they were having fun. When they leave Mudd on the planet and he thinks he's just going to be left with thousands of sex bots, and it's hundreds of copies of his wife. Shut up, Stella. Oh, I mean, it was just great. It was just great. I mean, the entirety of the original series. Think about the worst original series episode. Yes, I'm including Spock's brain in that. Think about the worst original series episode. It's still better than the worst of the new stuff. Hey, Sabo or Feifel, I forget. Oh, I'm just venting. I have no agenda tonight. Why I should wish to sell falsified government documents to my own mother. Hola cola. But anyhow, Let me scroll back because I may have missed something while I was ranting. Oh, yeah. Jack was saying I'm well on the way to 10,000 subs. I mean, 5,405, and I grow at about, like, now I'll say this. I will say this. 18 months ago, 20 months ago, I was growing at a rate of about 4 or 5 subscribers a week. Now I grow at an average rate of about 20 subscribers a week. So it's definitely gotten better. But I mean, if we go with the average, yes, but you like it, don't you, Savo? I'm going to answer that question in just a minute. But if we stick with the average, yeah, guys, it's going to be another 5 years before I hit 10,000. So don't book no hotel rooms in Orlando for next year for the GWOC, Great Underground Overland Gaming Convention. So what do I think Tencent will do with D&D? Keep Wastrel trajectory or change? I think it will essentially become abandonware. I think they will use a mainland China-based printer to just print rule books forever, and we'll never get anything again. I think they may keep a little office in the States open to pop out an adventure or two every now and again. I think they will probably tie D&D Beyond, that is the PDF sales of D&D Beyond, into some kind of mechanism where you have to have all kinds of subscriptions to get access to the stuff. So I think all of the classic stuff that you can now get print on demand or just in PDF will go behind the great paywall of China. Yes, Mercury. No, the PTA has not disbanded, Jimmy Invictus. The commissars will apoplex when they read the IP. That's funny. Yeah. No, the rumors are out there that they are going to that essentially Hasbro has been in talks with Tencent. If this article is to be believed, and there are other ones out there, this isn't just some random thing that I found. There are a few different articles. So I don't. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And that's one of the things. I mean, it's funny that Viking said that. The real question is, will the Chi-Con party re-release Oriental Adventures? A lot of people have just, have been talking about have been, they've been talking about this like, hey, they're just another video game corporation, man, calm down. They're not. See, if you want to run a mega corporation in China, the government wants to put their hands in it. All right. The government is at the top of like your corporate structure in a megacorp in China does not stop with board of directors. That's down here. There's a little pyramid at the top, and it's on every corporation in China. I don't care if they're making, fluffy bunny toys for toddlers worldwide. That top pyramid, if you look at the corporate org chart, that top part of the pyramid says Chinese Central Communist Party. Tencent is an organ of the Chinese Communist government. I have huge problems with that. Yeah, I was chit-chatting with someone today. In the New Oriental Adventures are pretty damn sure the allegory for the Taiwanese will suddenly be the drow. Yeah, China will re-release, and I said this in this conversation, they'll re-release Oriental Adventures. China will be lawful good, and Taiwan will be chaotic evil, always chaotic evil. And I mean, the sad reality is that there's people who think that Winnie the G and is A-OK. That China is a great, wonderful country, and that Mao Zedong was cute. So, and the sad reality is a lot of them are in the tabletop hobby, and they have megaphones. They're usually to be found on Reddit, ENWorld, and RPG.net. And I'm sure to them, this is probably an awesome thing. This is probably a wonderful thing. That is correct, Mercury. That is correct. 80 million. 80 million. Makes old Joseph Stalin and his 30 to 50 look like a punter, doesn't he? So I don't know, guys. That's true. None of that. They all say that they're going to move to Canada, and no one ever does. And I got to tell you something. I remember, just to be fair. To be fair, I remember all the way back in 1992 when I had a discussion. I was in a store out by Disney somewhere, and there was some lady who, I guess she would probably be in her 50s or in her 60s, possibly even 70s now. She was definitely older than me, but I mean, she was in her 30s and I was in my early 20s, and is what we would call today a Karen, was griping about the coming election. And how if Bill Clinton won, she and her husband had plans to move to Costa Rica. And I wonder if she did. I wonder if she did. And I can almost guarantee you she did not. I know of two people who held on to their convictions and left the country when Bush got elected. Pierre Salinger. Actually, he may have left before then. And Robert Altman. The film director, Robert Altman. Role-playing games were printed. Yeah, 1992, a mere 18 years after original D&D released. D&D wasn't even old enough to buy liquor. It could only just vote and drive without a parent in the car. Dungeon Minister moved to Canada. Yeah, but I don't think he moved there to escape the United States, but I could be wrong. We'll have to ask him. I'll ask him on the next Nerd Council of Doom, which is coming in February. No, not that Salinger. Pierre. Oh, you kids, I swear you're going to be the death of me. Pierre Salinger was, he was an ABC correspondent for many, 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 many years, but he was actually John F. Kennedy's press secretary. The only RPG printed at hieroglyphics is Tekkamel. No, it's printed in English characters. They're just unpronounceable. A buddy of mine once told me, and I've told this story before, but I want to tell it again. A buddy of mine once told me that he went to a convention. I think it was Kelry who told me this, but he went to a convention. He and his girlfriend at the time, and one of M.A.R. Barker's circle was there running a Tekkamel game, and him and his girlfriend were the only people who played. Now, yes, that is correct, James. J.D. Salinger is who you are thinking of, Savo. Why do I picture that as being like a dialogue between Feifel and somebody? I just do. It just tonally fits that. Work on that strip, please. But anyway, no. So he went to the he went to the con. He and his girlfriend were the only people who played. Now again, I have done events where I've had very few people show up. But you just press ahead and you have fun with it. You know, you do what you can and you have some fun with. And he said it was a con, it was a 4-hour slot. And the guy spent 90 minutes explaining the family history and backstory of their characters. 90 minutes before they started to play. 90 minutes. I cannot imagine. 90 minutes. And the thing about Tekkamel is it is a very rich story. People have told me, like, I've never read any M.A.R. Barker. I used to have the box set of Empire of the Petal Throne. I bought it for like $100, and then I sold it for $100. I wish I'd held on to it, but I got it because I thought it would have fun stuff to put in OD&D. It doesn't. I just mean I wish I'd held on to it and then flipped it. I could have made a lot more money. There you go. There you go. You made dumplings and it didn't take 90 minutes. I can do a full pulled pork roast in the Instant Pot and it doesn't take 90 minutes. A pot of my chili doesn't take 90 minutes. 90 minutes. So I've never played it. I've never adventured in it. I had the box set for a while. Again, I wish I'd kept it. And literally off the bat, like the first 2 or 3 pages of the original EPT are in the Talasoi or whatever language it is that he made up. Like the intro page and like the following page that's a continue the intro, as I recall, like you've got to learn how to pay the language. Imagine if the first 2 pages of the Lord of the Rings were in Quenya or Sindarin. Yes, Jorge, that is that story is called The Last Ring Bearer. But anyway, I'm not old man yelling at cloud about EPT. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. If you liked it, that's fine. But anyway, Return of the Kulaks. But anyway, Board of the Rings. Yes, Board of the Rings. Sorry, I got distracted by something shiny. I'll close that tab. Yeah, so I never, I had it. Okay, so let's talk about post-apocalypse a little bit. Let's talk about post-apocalypse. I will say this. The setup for EPT is interesting. Basically, what happens is the star system that the planet of Tecumseh is located in, because of overuse of hyperdrive by humanity, it tears a hole in reality, and the planet, its sun, basically its whole solar system is moved into a different reality. Did I get it? No, not yet. I have I have these, but they're not quite good enough to allow me to read. Jimmy, my sister, still needs some help. Just looking at the GoFundMe right now, and yeah, it's still sitting at $43.58. For those of you who don't know, a month ago, my sister had a house fire. They were between insurance, so they're struggling right now. That's the ultra short version. But anyway, so the world of Tecumseh, by which I mean its solar system, was basically sucked into a pocket dimension. Cut off from trade routes and technology and that sort of thing, the world kind of went into this post-apocalypse setting. And it's kind of interesting, the idea. Thank you, Graph Paper. Be well. It's kind of an interesting idea. Here's the thing. If Tolkien had written that just randomly in the middle of the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf was like, this is, an ancient wand of power. And the way Tolkien describes it, you're like, holy crap, no, that's a laser gun. I don't mean like, yes, that's analogous to a laser gun. Like, you draw everything that Tolkien is describing, despite using florid language, and what you wind up with after you draw it is a science fiction laser gun, and then he punctuates the description of it in The Lord of the Rings with, and this came from an ancient forgotten time. You're going to be like, so there's science fiction background to this? But here's the thing. I think if you isolate the two ends of your setting and you say, well, this is a post-apocalypse setting, which is what they did with Tecumseh. You say, this is a post-apocalypse setting. Oh, how far apart of the apocalypse, how far apart are we talking here? In Tecumseh, it's literally like 18,000 years. There are a few tiny bits of technology left. And because nobody understands them, they are effectively magic items. Writers. Come here. Come here. Let's talk. At that point, just write a fantasy novel. 18,000 years haven't passed between right now and the beginning of the great Egyptian dynasties. And the great Egyptian dynasties are almost completely forgotten. We find tiny bits and pieces of civilizations, and we're like, there's a whole series of step pyramids underwater just off the coast of Japan. Earthquake probably caused them to settle, like so many cities along the Mediterranean coast. And what was that society? We don't know. Other than those weird step pyramids, we have no evidence of them. It's one thing, like if your post-apocalypse is set 50, 75, 100 years after the original, then little hints about the world that was are kind of interesting. And they do that with Elfstones, Terry Brooks's novels. Exactly. You don't need 18,000 years. So, my fantasy world potions of haste are just really, really booger sugar. I mean, that's one of the things that I think Warhammer 40K got really, really right. You know, it's Holy Terra. That's it. Every once in a blue moon, they'll mention the fact that, like, the Imperial Library on Terra has all 3 Shakespeare plays. Or that, I forget it. He was the Emperor's right-hand man. You guys, you 40K fans will know who I'm talking about. Had the Mona Lisa and Field of Daisies by Van Gogh. Like, he owns them. But like, the average person, even like, forget the average person, planetary administrators in 40K don't go, yes, once long ago on ancient Terra, there was a place called Disney World. There's not an iota, there's not a sliver, there's not the faintest memory left. If it exists in the Emperor's mind, and his mind is focused on keeping the warp open. Yeah, civilizations at the bottom of the sea. So I think it's exceptionally gratuitous to set up a civilization. I mean, if you do a brief timeline and say this happened 18,000 years ago, but to drop hints about, I mean, no, man, no. I mean, I will bet you guys, and obviously I can make this bet because it's completely silly, but I would be willing to bet you guys in 18,000 years, nobody is gonna know what the F the buildings in Washington, D.C. were for. Nobody will. And they should more or less still be there. And you might say, well, Bill, even if things really change and, there's a ruinous war, people preserve those. Yeah, they will for, a few hundred years, maybe 1,000 years, maybe a couple of thousand years, like the Colosseum of Rome. But I mean, we guess at stuff. We guess at the utility of certain things, No, Savo, you will never live down that time you wore Paisley. None of us will. Bob, yes, hang on a second. I'm gonna tag that question of yours and I'm gonna come back to it. Now, myself, I think in 5 billion years, I wonder if there wasn't some society that came along briefly. I mean, some kind of hominid society, we're like, oh, well, some kind of ape kingdom could have existed 500,000 years ago, 900,000 years ago, and then just volcano eruption, just it's gone. It's gone, and we wouldn't know it. Yeah, I know, Savo. I mean, guys, in 200 years, the way I'm speaking is going to be barely comprehensible. Go read Chaucer in the original English. Good luck. With their blood-curdling cries of ook ook as they sacrificed their bananas. So yeah, I think it's a bit indulgent of an author to create this idea. And I mean, saying that, it was once part of Earth. I personally, even though I kind of outgrew her books, I think McCaffrey did a lot better job. Like, I remember at the end of, I got that big Montana Mule Choker copy of the Dragon Riders of Pern, like everybody got from the Doubleday Science Fiction Book Club. And, the very end of it, when they started uncovering bits of technology, I was like, oh, and that was very cool because it was plausible. And the difference between when humans landed on Pern and when the main trilogy of the Dragon Riders of Pern occurred was about 200 years. Yeah, you're kidding, but that is exactly correct, Jacko. Your great grandkids will not be able to understand you. But anyway, so I want to answer this question. We're actually going to talk about D&D. Bob Gnarly asks, can I explain 2-hit armor class 0 so dummy like you can understand? I have some beautiful news for you, Bob, and I'm going to show it to you. The gospel according to Gary Gygax. Okay. And a lot of people are like, oh, good, this is going to be awesome. Bill's going to explain 2-hit armor class 0. I certainly am. Let me show you exactly what 2-hit armor class 0 is. Let's go to appendices. Let's see, where is it? Where is it? Bear with me a second, guys. I'm just pulling this up. Wasn't planning on doing this. Okay, this is good enough. Okay. So let me share this with you. I'll put this up. Oh, it was up on the screen. Sorry. All right. Present, share screen, and add a screen. Okay, I want you to look right here, and you guys let me know if you need me to zoom into that. 2-hit armor class 0. Is that little nugget right there? If we scroll, is it to the end? No, I think it's up. Let's scroll up. This is Appendix C, alphabetical recapitulation of monsters with experience point values. Very handy. And I think it might it be all the way at the end? We'll scroll down. Okay, so it's not listed. 2-hit armor class 0. You can't read it on your 85-inch TV. Get a bigger TV. Well, it's just there's nothing of note other than it is a column. So here's the thing. In first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, 2-hit armor class 0 is not a thing. The only place in time it is right here. And it is only for dungeon masters to note what a monster needs to hit armor class 0 and to move within a limited range above and below it. It was never intended for player. It's not a calculator. But I have good news. I have good news for you. I'm gonna share this good news with you. Because I'm going to show you something even neater. It is Neato Bandito. See that? You don't need a formula. Look at that. Look at these tables. Tables for monsters. Or tables for characters. Tables for monsters. That's it. You don't have to do formulas. You don't have to get in internet arguments with people who say, oh, you people, it's just subtracting. You're a bunch of Zoomer millennials who can't do math. And them saying, get with the times, Grandpa. Adding is always easier. All you have to do is look at that table. That's it. That's all. No math to do. Glance at the table. That's it. And the problem with 2-hit armor class 0 Robert Phillips, you're right. Ska does that thing every 18 to 20 years where it's popular for about 5 months and then it sinks again. The charts, Bob, the charts are on page 74. They're on page 74. Now, here's the thing about 2-hit armor class 0. 2-hit armor class 0 does not consider repeating 20s. And we've talked about this before. Repeating 20s are important because a repeating 20 indicates that a base of 20, all other considerations aside, is required to hit the creature. If you hit that second repeating 20 and you roll a 17, but with my dex bonus and my +1 bow and my +1 arrow, that means I hit it. No, you don't. You need a base of 20. And 2-hit armor class 0 doesn't calculate for that. 2-hit armor class 0 is a basic and second edition thing. And then they threw the baby out with the bathwater and sold you guys Ars Magica with the D&D stats bolted onto it and called it 3rd edition. Archimedes, can you play Thaco? Leave me to my circles, Roman. That's funny. But yeah, it's on page it's on page 74. AD&D Combat Wheel works too. So that's it. You don't have to memorize a formula. And if you're worried about, but I got to keep flipping in the book, get one of these. Get one of these. Dungeon Master screen. Some stripe of Dungeon Master screen will have the charts right there. Or print them out and have them on a clipboard. Or bookmark that page in your Dungeon Master's Guide PDF. But you don't have to worry about a formula. There's another question here. James Seymour, very stupid question, but are legitimate PDFs available for all the AD&D hardback books? Yes. PDFs are available. Most of the actual books are print on demand also. The true first print, Deities and Demigods, is not, but there is a very clean PDF of it on archive.org. And I will state it is unobtainium. It is not available. It will never again be available. So yes, feel free to go to archive.org and download yourself a copy. Send it to Lulu. Find someone local who'll print it for you. Print it yourself to the ruin of your inkjet printer and then bind it. Is there a PDF of the DM screen? I think so. That's a fine question. Let me see here. By the way, guys, did you know that we have merch? Look down in the video description below. You can get yourself t-shirts, hats, mugs, everything with gorgeous artwork on them by the one and only Tracy Lesh. Check us out. It is a very cool logo. You should definitely get yourself some Delver's Dungeon merch. Let's see now. Gonna drive through RPG. Let's see. Browse categories. Let's see. Wizards of the Cursed. Wizards of the Cursed. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition. And let's see. DM screen. Let's see. Let's just try screen. Dragons of Deceit and the Book of Marvelous Magic. I don't think... Maybe not? Let's see. Let's do product type. Maps and play aids. Rule system. Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, maybe not. Let's see. Let's see. There's one on Scribd. But I don't see one. That's a Dungeon Master's Guide. Yeah, you'll have to poke around to find those. Yes, there is a Delver's Dungeon hoodie. You know what? Let's take a look at that. Let's go over there. Let's look at the old dashboard. And I will tell you guys about my merch. Bear with me, guys. It's taken a minute to load. So let's look at the merch you guys can get if you don't want to look at that. And I understand completely. That sounds delicious. It sounds absolutely delicious. Like, subscribe, yeah, and buy Girl Scout cookies, please. Let's see here. You know, I'm gonna break this out. I'm gonna use this. This will be my. But let me show you guys this absolutely dead sexy merch logo you can get. Studio View 2. There you go. Now look at that. Look at that, guys. Look at that logo. Isn't that boss? That is Now, Tracy himself did that. At first, he was like, "Oh, I'm all done." And I was like, dude, where's your signature? So that is a canvas print of that. That's right. You can get that as a canvas print. Don't think of it so much as my logo that says Gary made me do it. Think of it rather as this excellent art, which harkens back to Tracy's artwork for Dungeon board game. But let's check this out. But somebody asked about a hoodie. Yes, I have a hoodie. Right there. A hoodie with the logo on it. Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies. Dude, I got 2 boxes of those. I don't mean 2 boxes. I mean, I have 2 cases of them to sell for my daughter's Girl Scout troop. But anyway, if you guys want to check that out, if you guys want to get some merch right now, and I know you do, there's the link. Go buy some merch. And in case you're wondering, Tracy and I, we split that 50-50. That is an even split between Tracy and I. So you might want to check that out. I'm almost out of holiday libations. I had my last cider boys last night on stream. I think I've got 1, possibly 2 more vanilla stouts left. No, I only have 1. I only have 1 vanilla stout left, and I have 3 or 4 Ace Pineapple left, and then that's it. It's the last of the holiday booze will be gone. I tell you what I miss. They don't make them anymore. The s'mores. Those are silver wrappers, Death Angels. Those are silver wrappers. But I hope that answers your question, first of all, about the availability of the DMs or of the D&D books, and also 2-hit armor class 0. I hope that helped you. Death Angels, PM me about that. You know, back in my college days when I drank a lot more than I did now, I had this actually was from a brewery up in Innsmouth. I drank an entire case of Charles Dexter Ward. I guess I would describe it as essentially salty. I'll just wait. That's like last night or the night before. I think it was Monday. Maybe it wasn't. I posted on Twitter. I said, you know, the late great blues man John Lee Hooker had such great songs. How did he come up with such awesome licks? How? And bless their hearts, and I mean that in a sweet way. Bless their hearts, I had 3 people be, well, you know, I think it's a lot of inspiration for, you know, blues man is, and I'm like, oh God, did you? Oh. Yeah, we've only ever had the Silver One's death. We've only ever done the Silver Ones. RPG Grandma, hello. How are you? Oh man, I told that joke and 5 people logged off. Drone Swarm says, why has my popularity? Okay, so here's the thing. I have picked up 1 year and 2 weeks ago, Wizards of the Coast, the OGL 1.1 or 2.0, whatever it was leaked. Hang on, Alan. I want to come back to that. There was a joke. Ha, 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 Mercury. Very funny. But after Wizards was screwing up at a rate of things where I was doing like 3 videos a day. Some of you guys might remember that. Thank you, Orbital Air. I don't think it is Drone Swarm. You know, I'm gonna put this up here. But I remember sitting down at the table to post up another video, and I had my analytics page open because I dropped a video the night things started going south. Went to bed. I got up the next morning, and I had gone from 1,500 subscribers to just south of 3,000 overnight. Now, there are creators who will gain 1,500 new subscribers with a video release. They'll lose as many subscribers as I have in total in a month and not even notice it. It'll just be like, oh, 5,400 subs. And then they move on. But for me, that was monumental. I noticed it, and I sat down to do the video, and I told my daughter, I was like, I have my YouTube analytics page open. I have the live update going, and I'm just like watching like an odometer on a car you're driving at 150 miles an hour. Like, here's 10 subs, here's 25 subs, here's 100 subs. Just rolling up the screen. And I'm not bragging. That's the way it was. And every time Wizards would release something terrible would come out of Wizards, I would post a video up about it. And a lot of people, now, I don't know if they stuck around. But a lot of people said, hey, what you're doing is important. Thank you. Thank you for getting this news out there. I wasn't hearing about this. Thank you, you know? And I felt really good about it. And I fell into the perfect algorithmic blend. It was a hot button topic. I had people who were telling me they would log into YouTube anonymously and go to YouTube's front page and see my Wizards of the Coast videos listed. Now, there was one guy that ranted in the comments on 2 or 3 of my videos, same dude, bitching ceaselessly about my videos. Because he said, I am a Magic the Gathering player. I only care about Magic the Gathering. I do not give a damn about D&D, but all I see are your videos popping up, and I'm sick of it. Well, sir or madam, guess what? You leave that comment, you've engaged with my video. You have told YouTube that you want that video, even if you downvote it, even if you flag it, even if you leave a nasty comment for me. You've engaged it. You've looked at it. So all of this stuff just blew up. And every month through the end of April, Wizards was doing something terrible. Now, things kind of quieted down through May and June, but then there was the Pinkerton agency kicking in that guy's door, and that kick-started it again. And I'm going to admit, I've learned how to play the algorithm. I've learned how to title things. I wish back then I'd been doing thumbnails. I think the videos would have done even better. I mean, I just have the orange text on a black background for a lot of those videos. But if I had been smart and been doing actual thumbnails, it would have old man screaming. Oh, that's right. So what happened was it was like a pulse detonation underneath me. And I found content to do the interstitial videos with. And there's weeks when Hasbro's financials are down, Wizards released a shoddy product, Wizards performs a policy that hurts all gamers, and that's 3 to 6 videos right there I can do. You know, do you guys remember Kyle Brink? You remember when Kyle Brink said, white man like me can't leave this hobby fast enough? So it's stuff like that. And it's people coming to the channel. Now, I have 5,405 subscribers. There are not 5,405 people that are going to watch one of my videos. My really popular videos nowadays get thousands of views, but that's still far short of the subscribers I've got. I think a large majority of people in if I include off-grid or so. Oh, James, I might have to do that. I'm going to do that. Thank you. Yeah, the more notice you get, the rich get richer. If I stopped doing videos for 6 months, I would have to claw my way back to any kind of viewership. YouTube would just go, no, people aren't paying attention. Off-grid gaming. Yes, I'm going to do a video called Off-Grid Gaming. I'm going to go out to like the wooded area behind my house and roll up a character. Like, you know, maybe take a saw back there. Just do it without speaking, you know. Just saw down some pieces of wood, make a little gaming table, and roll a character. I'm gonna do that. Shocking and Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah, I should do that. Off-grid fails worse than you think. Off-grid fails worse than you think. Restoration will shock you. 10 reasons why off-grid restoration fails. The 10 reasons will shock you. shocking off-grid gaming fails. It's worse than you think. Go out and build a gaming hut out there in the woods like those bushcraft videos do. You know, just except at the end of the video when the guy he's cooking on his own stove that he's made out of rocks and mortared together and totally wasn't assembled by cameramen and engineers and actual contractors. You know, I'll have a gaming table built. But no, all kidding aside, it is just kind of stuff like that with a thumbnail. Yeah. A thumbnail of a woman pointing, going, and at the end of her finger, a red circle around like the D&D books, and that's magnified. I did get it right with the font choice, though. The Banger's regular font in orange with a red outline, I got that right. Yeah, so many of those are just terrible. There was some company based out of India. Now, I'm not like saying, and therefore all people from India are bad. But no, there was a company based out of India that was algorithm farming, and they were doing this, and in a couple of their drone shots, they missed it because they built like 3-story dugout log cabin hideaway resort in the woods by himself, you know, one guy, and it's like there's a clay pit, you know, he's packed a clay pit and filled it with water, you know, and everything else to make an actual swimming pool. And when they're doing this drone shot over it, you can literally see a crew and a Caterpillar vehicle like off in one corner of it because a guy like took it to task. Now, I think there are some legitimate bushcraft people out there. Like there's a dude, it's like his videos are an hour long and he goes through all of the steps, like making the clay to mortar the river rocks that you see him pulling up out of the river and dragging up to where he's building his hutment, you know. He built a water-powered, not sawmill, but wood mill, because there was a stream that he had access to. He built just a little like dinner plate sized paddle wheel, and it was enough to turn, and it would hit this balanced stone axe that he'd made, and he had a very sharp blade, and he could just put wood in there, and it would slowly chop it. Is that the one I'm thinking of, James? Yeah, but they didn't, you know, they were just like, oh, it's just this one guy or just these two guys. And it's just their bare hands and they're packing all this in. And it's like, there's more square footage in your underground primitive bunker than there is in my house. You have a nicer swimming pool than like the country club across the highway from me. But anyway, Drone Swarm, I hope that answers your question. I just got to do... Well, RPG Grandma, you need to use that thumbnail. You know the one. Just use that all the time. Primitive technology. Yeah. That's it. Primitive technology. But I mean, that guy did it and he got hundreds of thousands, millions of views. And then again, you had another. Okay, so here we go. I've talked to you guys before about how I love car resto channels. I mean, my favorites are Dylan McCool. Dylan, I don't know what it is. First of all, I love Dylan as a person. I just really, his videos haven't been that engaging to me, and I don't know why. It's not him. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because he always just ever does Mopar. I'm like, okay, that's a slant 6. That's a 315. You know, it's gonna be one of 4 problems, and then you're gonna get the car running and drive it again. James, off the grid 3D printing using solar power. But no, so the car resto videos, it's weird. I got sent the car resto videos because I think it worked this way. Because I watch like vintage tech YouTube channels, like, you know, here, you know, we're finally modding the Commodore 64 so the disk drive doesn't go so slow. And then it was like, hey, check this channel out. And so I started watching this guy, Adrian Black, on YouTube. And then I started watching more and more computer resto, and it was like, you like resto stuff? Check these guys out. They do car restorations. And I started watching Junkyard Digs. The first resto video I ever got in, I lost a day to it because they had done a series where they had gone out and found a 71 Ford truck that had been parked since 1990. And this was back in like 2016, 2017. And over the course of 3 days, they got it driving again, got it restored, and sold it off. It's Junkyard Digs, James. Junkyard Digs. So he, I got addicted to watching that. And then it was like, hey, watch Vice Grip Garage, which I was subscribed to Vice Grip for a long time. Stopped watching Vice Grip because I feel like Vice Grip became more of a, I have succeeded and now I'm doing my restorations in a multi-$100,000 garage and for Motor Trend Channel and stuff like that. No animus about Vice Grip Garage. Yeah, great, wholesome channel. Loved his stuff. Not really what I'm looking for, but I think he's an awesome dude and he's got a wonderful family. So I don't really watch him much anymore. So I'm watching all these and it's like, hey, check out this resto channel. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy. That laptop is completely trashed, you know? And there were some very curious things about the restorations that I began to notice. Like the rust patterns on metal toys and stuff that these guys were finding looked suspiciously a lot like the item in question was just soaked in vinegar. The patinas looked all very liquidy. And then then came the restoration debunking channels. And a lot of it was crap anyway, like, you know, restored old DVD player. Really? Dude, that's not like a hand-wound Victrola or something. So, yeah, a lot of the resto videos are dumb. What muscle car will I drive in the mayhem games of downtown 70s action arena? James, I just want the Commodore 64 and the Macintosh, buddy. That's a good question. Either a 71 Nova with a blown 350, not blown as in like, you know, there's a hole in a piston or the head is cracked or the, you know, like that. But I mean like with blower kit, or a 70 Charger similarly hopped up. Way too much horsepower, nowhere near the right safety gear. That's it. I have a problem with the 8-bit guy. it culminated in his destruction of a prototype IBM workstation. He literally didn't know what he was doing. He just jammed a paperclip and jumped ground to power to try and cause it to boot. He acted irritated that he had to go pick the thing up. And then he did nothing in the video. He bitched about having to drive out there, and he bitched about not having enough time to properly work on it. Then you set it aside. Adrian Black has stuff that he was sent 2 years ago. And he apologizes for it, but he always says, I want to have the time to work on this. And his, I don't know. I just, my problem with it, okay. So 8-bit guy is, in my opinion, like a 5e guy who just looked over and saw what the algo was doing, and it was all going 1E. So he just kind of said, I'm the 1E guy. And so he, because his channel literally used to be called The Mac Guy. He was the Mac guy. And he had just a few videos about modern day Macintosh gear. He was just kind of a tech review, ooh, ain't this cool channel. And he didn't get any traction. And he saw what LGR was doing back in the early days when LGR, would sit like on one side of his couch and have an old IBM on the left of him. And so he started doing that. And I remember he got a what is it? K-Pro was it K-Pro or Osborne? I think it was an Osborne portable, and he retro-brighted it. Well, the first time he retro-brighted it, he didn't remove the leather handle off of the carrying case. He just threw the whole thing in and was astounded when the handle descended. You put it in 99% hydrogen peroxide, David. What did you think it was going to do? Yes, an Osborne portable. Jack Photon. I got that reference. So yeah, I'll say that the videos that I enjoyed from him, I did enjoy, but switching over to Adrian's Digital Basement, I mean, do yourself a favor. If you like old tech, go look for on YouTube, search up Adrian Black found field Commodore 64. I've talked about this before. He found a C64 that was stored in a bucket outside in Washington State for decades, plural. Now, it was a C64C, so it was one of the more wedge-shaped ones. But, oh my God, guys. You want to talk about a computer that, I mean, literally, I would have cried. Like, there had been an ant's nest in it. It had sat in water. He replaced the fuse, cleaned up some contacts, and the damn thing worked. It needed keyboard work. It absolutely needed keyboard work. But man, he brought that thing back to life. And that's how the algorithm works. I hope that answers your question, Drone Swarm. I actually, it works. He brings it down sometimes from his living room to demo. Like somebody will send him like, oh, here's a new kind of RAM expansion that I just, I made with KiCad and got the parts printed on PCBWay, and they send him a kit and he builds the kit. And he says, I'm going to try this on the field found C64, and goes and gets it and plugs it in and turns it on, and it works just fine. Believe it or not, guys, believe it or not, just prior to human malware, just prior to that winter, I was this close to converting this channel to like the digital dungeon, and I would transfer, I would basically become a tech YouTuber. I'd gotten together enough stuff to build like 2 budget quote unquote gaming machines, because I was seeing no traction in the D&D stuff. And somewhere on an SD card, I actually have a ton of B-roll. The like the opening credits, the camera pan across the books and everything. I shot similar stuff for this channel to become a tech channel. And I did a budget build of a 2nd gen i7 gaming machine, like a GTX 760. I did everything but the benchmarking and a voiceover. I had it all put together, and I was going to edit it all together, and I was going to relaunch my channel as the Digital Dungeon. And a couple of things stopped me from doing that. One, answer everybody's question. Oh, I want to answer Alan's question, so I'm going to put that up there now. One, when human malware hit, you couldn't get it was a perfect storm. People needed computers, any kind of electronics, entertainment at home. So the $100 budget PC that you get 30 frames a second out of Fortnite on or whatever, that went away. That vanished like water on a hot plate. And the other thing is, I just decided that I wanted to talk to people about D&D more. So the computer parts were no longer available. I mean, you could have done a budget channel just by hitting eBay, just like, I'm going to buy I'm going to buy a 1050, I'm going to buy a 3rd gen i5, 16 gigs of RAM, hang an SSD off of it, put it in a shiny case. Boom, there's your budget gaming machine. You too can do this. Yeah, I hate it too, and I ended up not doing it, so don't worry about it happening. Anyway, Alan Canning actually asks me a D&D question that I don't understand, and it is confusing. Could you explain it, please? I was wondering if I met any DMs who have made the Grey Gods aware of the value of treasure, i.e. leveling up. I don't think so. I mean, I feel like the gods are omniscient, so they're probably aware, but not in the sense of like they feel like this is something they got to intervene on. Can you clarify in a comment or two? Because this is an interesting question, and I'd like to answer it. You hate it. Well, I'm not going to do it, Mercury. So it's okay, buddy. It's okay. Never fear. Tech Delver, maybe. Like I said, not going to happen. So, and another thing, and we've talked about this before, don't mix your, like, if somebody dropped that 71 Charger off and was like, yeah, I started building this, all the parts are in the back seat and trunk to finish it up. You can have it, knock yourself out. And I was like, oh, should gods understand? Oh, that's very meta. That's very meta. Okay. You can have some fun with it from the DM's chair, but I wouldn't get too deep into that, Jane. Sorry. I wouldn't get too deep into that, Alan. I think it could rob the game of verisimilitude. I wouldn't do that myself. Anyway, yeah, so I get the boss parts for a car. Hey, on Delver's Dungeon, instead of talking about D&D, you guys are going to see me rebuild the carburetor on this Charger. And okay, some of you guys might watch that. A lot of you wouldn't, and the video would tank. And the channel would start to tank. The more I worked on that car, the more the channel would tank. YouTube doesn't like it when you do that. That's why my 3D printing channel, which is hopefully launching this weekend, if not first to next week, is on its own channel. Oh, and if you're interested in that, you can check me out. Let me make sure that is correct before I put it up there. And you guys are like, that doesn't work, Bill. See, that's why I had to check. All right. Volkswagen, for those days when you don't want to have a car that you can't hate. Anyway, you can check out my 3D printing channel, which will have, I've got 27 subscribers already to it. So that channel and this channel, and I know a lot of folks have said, no, I don't want to, I don't want to go subscribe. I get it. You don't want to subscribe to your second channel. You only want to be here for this. I can't put 3D printing channels on this video. I can talk about 3D printed stuff occasionally, but a video where I'm going to diagnose and we're going to talk about safety and this, it's just not going to work out. I have a box of VW 2.0 TSI 2015 coil packs in my garage. Little Yahtzee coffins is what they are. So yeah, Sean, you can go subscribe to the 3D printing garage if you want. Oh my gosh, and it was at 27 and it's jumped up to 39. Good Lord. Thank you. But yeah, no, I'm going to be doing 3D printing stuff. And my first video is going to be all about safety. So, it's going to be boring. Oh, that's fine, Orbital. Thank you, Sean. You've got an Ender 3 or why not? Go touch it. I'm going to talk about safety, though. Breathe the fumes. But anyway, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Any super chats you want to send? Although I will say, if you do want to support the channel, we have a Patreon. We have the link is going by there. You can buy me a coffee, or you can subscribe on YouTube, Patreon, or YouTube memberships are little as $1 a piece. It's going to look like it is going to look like Choose Eyeball Lab in there. Oh, we're going to cover PLA and resin both. It's not just resin. It's not going to be just a resin. Very funny. Yes, I got my respirator today. I did. I went to Home Depot and bought a respirator today. So I now feel more confident about going out there and working with volatile organics. But there will be times when I am filming right in here, and I will have my filament printer. In fact, I might do a resto video. Can we get this filament printer working? Chew. If only you could see what I've seen with your eyes. That's neat. I haven't made my own rep wrap 3D. Yeah, first thing you do when you get a 3D printer is print another 3D printer. Shit, back in the mid to 2008, 2009, when any one of the printers I have now would have cost thousands and thousands of dollars. There was no turnkey hobby 3D printing back then. It was literally like, build this rickety basic printer and then 3D print a better printer. James, okay, here's what I can tell you about that. James, here is what I can tell you about the So, the armor system of Dungeons and Dragons is taken from a naval war game called Ironclads. And in Ironclads, armor has grades. Grade 1 armor is better than grade 2. So grade 1 armor would be like actual iron or bronze plates on your sailing ship. Grade 2 might be, copper, and so on backwards to get to just wood, which was grade 8 or 9 or something like that. That is where Gary came up with the idea. He borrowed it from that sailing ship game. Mrs. Death said to buy me coffee. Thank you, Mrs. Death. Quinto Ironclads, yeah. I mean, I could be wrong about the name of the game, but that is why we have armor class is lower is better. Because who wants 8th class armor when you can have 1st class armor? Nobody, that's who. Nobody. So make sure I talk. Oh, I will. I'm doing a video too that is titled the $10 3D printer. So you guys on an ultra budget out there who want terrain and buildings and stuff, I got you, fam. Was it wooden ships and iron men? Thank you. Yes, exactly, Jorge. If you think of places in an armor contest. Now it's a tongue in cheek. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. It's tongue in cheek. You know, it's more of a crafting video. There will be crafting stuff. It's not strictly going to be like all the time, but because like, I mean, once you've got a 3D printer dialed in, unless a manufacturer is like, hey, try out our super ultra deluxe mega 9000, me just standing out there going, well, I printed this today, which is why I'm not doing live streams on that channel. I'm just going to do like one video a week. Probably unrelated, I've been reminded that historical ships of the line were stronger the lower the rate there was. Huh. Excuse me, I don't need to yell at you guys. It is not the 3D pen. The 3D pen is a feat compared to this. I got excited about 3D pens because I was like, holy crap, I could just like sculpt a 3D printer. And then I realized that like I can't draw a straight line. So I mean, it's a neat tool. Like I've seen people who do 3D prints and they get separations and they're just like, and that's when I break out my 3D pen. Other people use a soldering iron, like a soldering iron on its lowest setting. It's like, oh, I've got some separations. Good night, Sean. But anyway, listen, before we wrap up, because we're going to be wrapping up soon, curing alcohol fumes, AD&D ASMR, I have made jokes about that before. Let's roll some dice. I'll have to reach into my dice bag. There we go. There's the D20. You know, I've made jokes about that before. Yes, the KLF. Ooh, you failed that saving throw. That must hurt. George Laconia, we're not long for this evening. He's a shackled skeleton. Do I have? Oh damn it! My dice tray is way the hell over there. I'm not gonna mess with it right now. Yeah, sound of the DMG page is turning. ASMR's freaking you out. I just see Savo jumping back away from the computer. Whoa! Let's look that rule up together. Ooh, armor class 5. I'll close that rule book now. Oh my God. Right to jail. Stop destroying. Hey, Flint. POV Skeletons Massacre. POV, you get destroyed by Goths too, just like Rome. Straight to hell. God. I could play. I did. Did you not hear that? Let me see. I wish you guys could hear like the book coming off the shelf. That's a nice crispy sound. Let's look at that saving throw together. You need a 12. I may have it inadvertently delayed the next Fightful comic. ASMR. I can't remember what the acronym stands for. It's autonomous sensory meridian response, a term used to describe a tingling, static-like, or goosebump sensation in response to specific triggering audio or visual stimuli. These sensations are said to spread across the skull, down the back of the neck, and for some, into the spine or limbs. Mike out the whole room. What does the monster say? The Dave. I wish. Do I have a piece of paper I can sacrifice? All of my papers are important and sacred. I cannot merely tear up a piece of paper. I'm so sorry. That wasn't the entrance to a Sararak's tomb. That was a sphere of annihilation. Your character's dead. You'll have to roll up another one. No, there was just a receipt on the floor. This became the ASMR channel about 20 minutes ago, the Dave. ASMR channel will drive you batty. Jack Neller. Oh, I love that react. That sensation only happens when I see footage of her people are telling me about, so it's not pleasant. Okay. I listened to a couple of ASMR videos that were supposed to be calming and relaxing. And it seems like at the time that I listened to those, all like Eastern European girls on YouTube doing these channels, and really listening to them, and it was on YouTube, so it was fairly clean. I just literally just wanted to say, will you sit down? Your positional mic, it's just like it's like you're just in my ear. Get me some coconuts for horses. Though the horses are invisible, so so you guys might know from the Discord and whatnot, Volcano God, who I've heard about that. I heard it was an actual RPG, Death Angels. Was it just a board game? But You know, Emery, I think you're probably closest to the bullseye on that. I did really, all kidding aside, I think you are probably closest to the bullseye on that. But so this has nothing to do with ASMR, but Volcano God and I used to live proximate to each other, and he had a favorite character, like going all the way back to his youth, and he wanted to take that character on a run through. I can't remember if it was my own Castle Greyhawk or Tomb of Horrors. I think it was probably Tomb of Horrors. Like solo. He was like a very high level. I can't remember if he was a thief or assassin. And he said, I bet I can get through there, and I won't metagame, but I bet I can get through there. And if you like want me to make dice rolls to figure out if something is dangerous or not, but there's appropriate bonuses and so on to the dice roll. And I was like, what do you want to bet? What do you want to bet? And I don't remember what my loss would be, but I made him put up his character called Dagger. Like the character sheet. He's like, oh man, I don't know. And I was like, dude, you want to make it a bet? Make it a bet. We didn't end up playing, but anyways, it's a couple. So yeah, we ended up not doing that though. But I would have held him to. I would not have destroyed the character. It would have gone in the folder of deceased characters. NPC MRP. Speed the run, the Tomb of Horrors. Any percent Tomb of Horrors speed run. So I found a glitch, guys. There's actually a line skip you can do. If you just run up against this corner right here in this room. Oh, and there I go. Okay, so just through here, and then you got to hit the seam again in a Sararak's tomb. All right. Boom, 1037. Did it. 10 seconds. You know. That's weird that they're kickstarting a money. I mean, you would think that, gosh, who's still with us? Idol, Cleese, Palin, that they would. Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they wouldn't pay for it. Well, I feel like good night, Lux. I mean, for me, Raised Dead, Resurrection, Reincarnation, a Ring of Regeneration. Here's something. Hey, let's end on a. I bet you didn't know this. You guys know about the. Yeah, I believe Terry Gilliam is also. Yeah, I'd have to have crying in the background too. I get some Eastern European girl to like do an audio loop of crying for me and make it a real ASMR video. So we all know about a Ring of Regeneration, right? I lose hit points, I gain hit points back with a Ring of Regeneration. Did you know a Ring of Regeneration will bring a character back from the dead? It absolutely will. A Ring of Regeneration will bring a character back from the dead. You don't believe me? The Drone Swarm knew that. Did the rest of you guys know that? Who else knew that? And everybody's going to say, oh, yeah, of course I knew that. But yes. Yes, it does. No, it drains it drains a point of constitution, a level of endurance. Fie on you. But check this out. We'll do this one more, and then we'll probably call it a night. See, D&D content, not just me being weird. Ring of Regeneration. There are two forms of this ring. Regeneration ring restores 1 hit point of damage and will replace organs eventually also per turn. It will bring its wearer back from death, but if poison is the cause, the saving throw must be made or else the wearer dies again from the poison still in his or her system. Only total destruction of all living tissue by fire or acid or similar means will prevent regeneration. Of course, the ring must be worn and its removal stops regeneration process. A ring of regeneration can bring you back from the dead. You were right now old when you learned it. The rare form is the vampiric regeneration ring. It restores 1/2 the value of hit points of damage the wearer inflicts upon his opponents in hand-to-hand, melee, non-missile, non-spell combat immediately upon its wearer fractions dropped. It does not otherwise cause regeneration or restore a life, limb, or organ. To determine the type of ring, roll percentile dice. In no case can the ring wearer's hit point total exceed that initially generated. Well, you know what? Let's look real quick. To answer your question, Dave, let us look at the ring real quick. How much a magic item is worth often for me as a dungeon master? In experience points, I should add, dictates what it can do. Now, the Ring of Regeneration is a 5,000 XP value item. There are no rings more valuable than it, although elemental summoning, multiple wishes. Yeah, elemental summoning and multiple wishes match it. Therefore, we can assume that the Ring of Regeneration is at least as powerful as a Ring of Multiple Wishes. Could you wish someone's head back on and all their memory restores? Yes, you could. Now, the closest thing to regeneration we have is something like reincarnation. It can regrow limbs and lost organs, including eyes and so on. And lost organs, is the organ not a brain? It is. So it is also like the spell Restoration, which is an exceptionally high-level cleric spell. I would deem, given what it mirrors, that yes, a Ring of Regeneration could restore the head and the memories slowly of the person who wore it. Their spiritual power would slowly be restored to their body as a raise dead spell would. That is what I deem. So, with that said, guys, yes, all of them, Dave, including some nightmares and an aversion to bad guys wielding vorpal swords. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Thank you, Death Angels, for the tip. I really appreciate it. That was awesome of you. Everyone, have a good evening, but regardless of what you do, please keep your eyes peeled for the owl bears. Peace, good night. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow night with some Bonehill discussion. Bye. Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere, in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around, some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle, way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.